Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us. This is the September 28th, 2017 meeting of the East Fishkill Town Board. Would you please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Under announcements, I just have a couple of announcements. We're still waiting to hear from the EPA on the beginning of the construction of the Hopewell Precision Superfund water line. It is supposed to be started sometime next month, and it seems we're almost into October. I think, Scott, the last thing we got from the EPA was about 2 months ago, maybe 6 weeks ago, was the letter, the guarantee on the road letter.
Correct.
And that was it. We've supplied them everything they needed.
Maybe about 3 weeks, no decision to make.
Yeah. So I'm going to reach out to our friends at the EPA, Lorenzo Thantu, the project manager, to see where we are. I'd like to find out if all indications were that they were going to be starting next month, and we would like to hold them to that timetable. And if I get any word, we'll post it on the website so people in that Hopewell Precision Superfund area will know that it's going to be happening soon. So that's that. And I did want to ask the attorney, we still have not received any response from Hopewell Service Corp., correct?
Not yet.
Okay, because
Everything's in the mail.
people do ask me how we're doing with the Worley Homes water situation, and we're still
I
waiting.
checked on it earlier this week, and the attorney said his clients told him they signed everything and we're
Good.
returning them to us. We haven't received.
Good, good, good. And so once we get the contract signed, we can move along with the rest of the process for taking over the Worley Homes water system and upgrading the system to the way it should be run. So that's hopefully coming soon. Oh, and the one last thing, I did want to thank Peter, too, for at the workshop. I know you mentioned it, but a few weeks ago, Global Foundries sold 300 acres of their site, which is the former IBM East site, to a company that does redevelopment of industrial properties named National Resources. This was a very complicated deal. They went through the planning board process, and it was really a subdivision, 8-lot subdivision out of a property that was never ever conceived to be subdivided. But the fact that they sold 300 acres to National Resources is very promising for the town of East Fishkill. One thing that we did get out of that, they had to form a transportation corporation. And actually, we have got a contract from Global so that they will take 200,000 gallons per day of sewage from our Route 52 sewer improvement area. And this is very big redevelopment. Hopefully, see more redevelopment happening down there in the next few years with National Resources taking that over. And now the West Complex actually has access to sewer, which has been one of the biggest problems with regenerating that site. So we're very excited about a few things that have happened, and this sale is going to be huge for the town of East Fishkill. And I believe that in a few years you're going to see the road in the back, Gate 5 Road, turn out to be a public highway, which is going to be incredible because you're going to be able to come right off 84, go down Line Kiln Road, and turn into a public highway that'll bring you through a renovated or redeveloped industrial complex. So this is going to be a very, very big thing. So just a couple things. I did want to thank Peter for bringing that up at the workshop a couple weeks ago. That's all of my announcements for tonight. We do have a presentation from our friends at the Sons of Italy. So if our friends at the Sons of Italy would like to come up, we'd be more than happy to have them. Oh, come on now, don't be shy. We know you guys. We work with you guys all year, and we always appreciate everything you do. You do a lot of great things for the community that people don't know about. I thank you. Wow, there's a whole bunch of you.
We have a lot that couldn't make it.
Ooh.
So on behalf of all my brothers and sisters at the Joe DiMaggio Lodge, and as you pointed out, some are here tonight, I'd like to thank you, Mr. Hickman, and the rest of the board for your many years of support for our organization. The festival that we hold over the Memorial Day weekend is our biggest fundraiser for the year, and it really helps keep us afloat as an organization with our building and so on and so forth. However, it would not be possible without the assistance of you, the town of East Fishkill. You allow us to use the recreation area in the past, and hopefully in the future. And to show our appreciation, we want to present this check to the town in the amount of $2,000.
Sir, thank you very much. We appreciate that. And all the good things that your organization does for, helping people in the community and throughout the world is just phenomenal. And we have a great relationship with the Sons of Italy, and I thank you for that. It was supposed to be a big check, though. You didn't bring in one of those big checks like that?
Well, maybe next year.
Okay, next year, that's a deal, that's a deal. But your carnival was a success. We're always worried about the weather. I remember the one year, we had the weather, and we had to extend it out for
Just to the
another day or
Monday,
so.
and we
But,
greatly appreciate that as
yeah,
well.
always work together very well, and we appreciate the donation. We'll put it to good use, possibly, and I'm not sure, I can't speak, but sometimes we put it in a fund to help kids go to our camp that can't afford it, but their parents can't afford it. We put together a little fund for that, and things of that nature. So again, we're helping the community. So thank you very much for that.
And thank you again.
Thank you. The comptroller immediately jumps up to grab the check. You see that?
Cloud of dust.
That's just how controllers are, And whatever I said about the money, it's taken care of, so.
Yeah. We have our own controller, so to speak, so.
Great, thank you again very much.
Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye. We'll be talking before next year.
Did you scan it in?
It's already deposited.
It's in the bank already. It's in the bank already, so, very good. All righty, Madam Clerk, will you call the roll, please?
Councilperson Cassidy? Present. Councilperson D'Alessandro?
Present.
Councilperson Franco?
Present.
Councilperson Marinero?
Present.
Supervisor Hickman?
Present. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Everybody's been provided the minutes of the August 24th, 2017 meeting. Madam Clerk, have you received any additions, changes, modifications, or any comments of that sort?
No, I have not.
Okay. With that being said, do I have a motion to approve the minutes of the August 24th, 2017 meeting as submitted?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you very much. Under receipt and file, we have nothing this evening. Public comments on agenda items only. Is there anybody in the audience who would like to speak on any agenda items? Okay. There being none, we do have two public hearings tonight. So the first one is to consider a rezone application for property on 89 Hausner Mountain Road in Hopewell Junction to an R1. Do I have a motion to open the public hearing to consider this rezone application?
So moved.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. The public hearing is now open. We had gotten a request for a rezone from this property that's on Hosner Mountain Road, 89 Hosner Mountain Road, and I believe, yes, it is a B1. This has been a property, it's been there for a long time, Zone B1, and we have a letter from the planning board, a memo from the planning board supporting this rezone. And I know historically that the properties around that are predominantly R1. So I agree, the planning board has supported the rezone to R1. I believe it's a good use of that property also. I know in the past, people have tried to put in businesses there, but it just seems like an R1 would be much more, a less intrusive use. So everybody's got a copy from the planning board. Any comments, any thoughts on the rezone application? Anybody on the board?
Nothing. Dutchess County had no comments.
Yeah.
So,
And to me, it makes just a lot of sense. Anybody in the audience would like to speak on the rezone application for a property located at 89 Hosner Mountain Road? Oh, and the one comment I would like to say, too, is that the planning board also stated in their memo that there's other lots that possibly should be considered for rezoning. So I think we would take a look at that in the future. We could sit down with our planner and see what she thinks about this. But for the time being, tonight, we're only discussing the 89 Hosner Mountain Road. So if there's nobody in the audience to speak, and if everybody on the board is okay with the memo and the comment letter from Dutchess County, do I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Do I have a second? Second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion, public hearing closed. Do I have a motion to adopt a negative declaration and local law rezoning this property in 89 Hosner Mountain Road from a B1 to an R1?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you very much. The second public hearing of the evening is consider amending local law 5 of 1984, establishing the ethics board to allow alternate members. We do have an ethics board, and I believe it's made of 5 people. And, you know, every now and then, you're going to have an absence, or somebody may have to recuse themselves. So being as that is the case, I've requested from the board that we could actually create the position of an alternate. And as the alternate could serve, sitting in at all the meetings, taking notes, along with all the voting members of the ethics board. But in the event that something was to come up, somebody had to recuse themselves, they would be completely versed in any item that was before the board, and thus could fill in for a sitting member who could not vote. So we did actually, we made an appointment to the Ethics Board last month, and we do have another gentleman who is interested in serving on the Ethics Board, but he was away, so we'll be interviewing him in the near future. But that being said, I do think it'd be a worthwhile amendment to our law to allow, the law would actually allow up to 2 alternate members. We started considering it, we considered 1 member, but this would allow us to actually bring 2 people on as alternates, so. Do I have a motion to open the public hearing on amending the Code of Ethics law?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried. Public hearing is now open. And I don't know, I'd like to hear the board's comments if you have any thoughts on this amendment.
Well, it's something we've discussed in the past, and I think that it's a good idea, just in case someone has to recuse themselves, as you said, or they're not going to be around at that time. So
Yeah, sometimes.
it's always good to have too many than too few.
Exactly, exactly. Anybody else on the board have any thoughts or comments? I think it's really in the best interest to have a couple alternates on the board, so. That being said, is there anybody in the audience would like to speak on establishing the ethics board, amending the law, establishing the ethics board to allow 2 alternates? Anybody like to speak on that? Okay, there being none, do I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried. Do I have a motion to adopt the negative declaration and local law, amending local law 5 of 1984, establishing the ethics board to allow for 2 alternate members?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you very much. And that's it for the public hearings for this evening. Be moving to resolutions. The first resolution is actually 2 resolutions. We're 1 resolution with 2-part. Authorize the settlement of 2 tax certiorari's. We have tax certiorari. Tom, would you just explain quickly what a tax certiorari is?
Sure. When a property owner receives their assessment, they have the right to go to the town's Board of Assessment review, and if they're still dissatisfied with the decision of that board, they have the right to file what's known as a tax certiorari proceeding in the Supreme Court, Dutchess County, and then there's a process that goes through. Both sides can obtain appraisals, submit them, have a hearing or trial. In the case before us tonight, both of them, one is a property that is in both East Fishkill and Beekman, but when the deed came through and recording it, it was assessed for $150,000 in both towns, and that's the full price paid for all the property. So this would adjust the assessment roll by allowing $100,000 in East Fishkill and $50,000 in Beekman. Beekman has agreed.
And so in our part, so our reduction is $50,000.
$50,000, which equates to $300 that they would have paid last year.
Okay.
The second one is with respect to a commercial building in the town. They filed in 2016. They actually went to the Board of Review for 2017. The Board of Review agreed that the value should be adjusted. So what this resolution would settle the 2016 at the value that the Board of Review adjusted it for 17. So that's a $100,000 adjustment.
Right.
And that would be approximately $900.
Okay, very good. And these matters have been before,
And there'll be, if you approve and the property owner approves, it's then submitted to the Honorable James Brands, Justice of the Supreme Court.
There you go.
In Poughkeepsie for his approval, and the county also has to sign it.
okay. Thank you very much. So we have a resolution to authorize the settlement of these two tax certiorieries for Paradise Reserve and Foster Road LLC, as the attorneys just explained. Do I have a motion to approve these tax certiorieries? Approve the settlement?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Well, actually, I forgot to ask. Is there any discussion before we move? Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Resolution number 2 is to authorize a reduction for the Hopewell Glen Performance Fund. Councilman Cassidy, would you read the resolution?
Whereas there was a bond for Toll Brothers, Inc. that was previously posted for the Hopewell Glen Phase 4. And whereas the planning board has voted on September 5th, 2017 to reduce the bond for the Hopewell Glen Phase 4 from $2,291,000 to $1,218,794. And now therefore be resolved that the town board does agree to reduce the said bond to $1,218,794 as recommended by the planning board. Now therefore be resolved that the town attorney shall be approved to reduce the bond.
Thank you, Councilman. And we have a memo from our planning board at the meeting on September 5th, 2017. The planning board voted to reduce the bond for Hopewell Glen Phase 4 from that amount to that amount. Do I have a motion to authorize a bond reduction for Hopewell Glen Phase 4?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you very much. The next resolution is to award Phase 2 of the Julie's Jungle Playground contract. And I put together some information from when we did the original contract was, the bid opening was on March 31st, 2015. And as part of the bid, the bidder that got the award had alternate bid items of $119,890 and $107,100. And this for alternate bid items, installation of Phase 2 playground equipment and also for the surface. So since that time, we've gotten 2 community development block grants from Dutchess County. Julie's Jungle, the private fundraising arm, that's a nonprofit, they've raised some funds. So they have enough money to go to Phase 2. They've contacted the company that was awarded the bid, and he wrote a letter saying, please be aware that we plan to begin the installation, and we'll keep the Phase 2 pricing as originally provided and contracted for in the bid. So they're going to hold the bid price to what was bid way back then, and they'd like to go. We have the funding. So whereas the bids for Julie's Jungle Phase 1 and Phase 2 was held on March 31st, 2015. Whereas Raymond Michael LTD was awarded the bid for both Phase 1 and Phase 2. Whereas Raymond Michael LTD completed Phase 1 in November of 2015 and is ready to begin Phase 2. Now therefore be it resolved that Raymond Michael LTD is authorized to construct Phase 2 of Julie's Jungle in the amount of $226,990,000, which was those Phase 2 prices that I just quoted. Be it further resolved that the supervisor being hereby is authorized to execute any documents required. Be it further resolved that $200,000 is from Community Development Block Grant funds from Dutchess County, and the balance of the funds for Phase 2 will be from, also the Rec Development Fund consent to providing some funding from the rec development funding because this is for a playground. So this is a capital project. So they will also, pardon me, I was thinking that they were going to get it from the Julie's Jungle Group, who is still fundraising. No, the balance will be from the rec development fund. So, that being said, do I have a motion to authorize the construction of handicapped accessible playground Phase 2?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you very much. Councilman Franco, would you read the next resolution, please?
Authorize travel and training for town assessor. Whereas the town assessor has advised the town supervisor that in order to remain certified by the New York State Assessors Association, she must attend annual training programs. And whereas a training program is available for her to attend in Lake Placid, New York, from October 1st, 2017 through October 4th, 2017. And whereas it is the desire of the town board to authorize the supervisor to approve said travel. Now therefore be it resolved that the supervisor be and hereby is authorized in accordance with Section 77B of the General Municipal Law of the State of New York to authorize the assessor to attend a training program sponsored by the New York State Assessors Association to be held out of the area requiring an overnight stay. And be it further resolved that all reasonable and necessary expenses incurred by the assessor may be approved by the supervisor for reimbursement by the town.
Thank you, Councilman. And if you look at the tentative schedule, and I tallied it up, I think it was $277 a night for 3 nights stay at the hotel, but there's going to be meals, gas, registration, and materials for this training session. But some of the classes are going to be pilot agreements, taxation, valuation of renewable energy, market adjustments. I think it looks like a very good course here, so I'd be happy to have Kathy go to that. Kathy is our assessor. She's also the president of the Dutchess County Assessors Association. She does very well in her job, so I'd like to send her to this. And especially with some of the courses she'll be taking, I think especially on pilots, which are becoming more and more the norm these days. So that being said, do I have a motion to authorize the travel and training for our town assessor to the annual training program that's going to be held in Lake Placid, New York? Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? I always think that training is a good thing. That being said, all in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Number 5 is to authorize the hiring of a part-time recreation senior assistant. Councilman D'Alessandro, would you read this resolution number 5, please?
Yes. Whereas due to staffing changes in the senior citizens program, part-time recreation assistant is needed at the community center, and the recreation supervisor for senior citizens program has submitted a request to hire Lena Reynolds as the recreation assistant, and that the town board does hereby appoint Lena Reynolds as part-time recreation assistant. Lena will not work more than 20 hours per week, will be hired under the CSEA agreement at level 3, paid at $13.83 per hour.
Thank you, Councilman. And attached to the resolution is a letter from Sue Gardner, who runs our senior programs over at the community center. And Mary Miller has been with us for a long time. So sorry to see her cutting her hours, but I believe that this is probably, Lena, Sue assured me, will work out very well. So that being said, do I have a motion to appoint, and I don't know Lena's last name here.
Reynolds?
Lena Reynolds,
Yeah.
to the part-time recreation assistant position?
So moved.
Second?
Second?
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Number 6 is to recognize the hiring of 2 highway employees. Councilman Marinero, would you read the next resolution, resolution number 6, please?
Sure. Where the highway superintendent has interviewed and hired 2 full-time seasonal laborers for the highway department. And whereas the highway superintendent has submitted memos to the town board, and now therefore be it resolved that the town board does hereby acknowledge the hiring of Jeff Vincent and Lori Calciano as full-time seasonal laborers in the highway department. Be it further resolved that upon completion of their task, Jeff Vincent and Lori Calciano will be removed from payroll.
Thank you, Councilman. Do I have a motion to authorize the hiring of seasonal laborers for the highway department?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. And thank the board for helping me out with these resolutions. Number 7 is to authorize the hiring of a part-time recreation assistant at Lime Kiln. Whereas a part-time recreation assistant is needed at the Lime Kiln Recreation Facility, the recreation director has interviewed the applicant and recommends the town board hire Kathleen Intravea. Now therefore be resolved, the town board does hereby appoint Kathleen Intravea, who resides in the town of East Fishkill, as part-time recreation assistant. She will not work more than 20 hours a week and will be paid $9.75 per hour. And co-director of recreation, Janet McHugh, had sent us a memo regarding this. Do I have a motion to appoint this part-time recreation assistant who will be replacing Derek Neidig?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you very much. Now, I did send out a memo to the board, a quick email yesterday. Something had come up from the floor. I would like to schedule a public hearing on special district benefit assessments as per Section 239 of town law. Typically, we have it at the budget hearing, but sometimes the budget hearing gets a little bit busy. I would like to schedule this public hearing for our October meeting. So it'll be public hearing at our October voting meeting, which will be held on October 26th. Then we will do the budget, general and highway, and the water districts all on the budget, whenever that is. I think it's November, sometime after Election Day. I think November 8th or something like that, so. So if the board's okay with that, I think just it would break it up a little bit better, because sometimes it get a little bit hectic. So with that, do I have a motion to schedule the public hearing on special benefit district assessments per Section 239 of town law for the October 26, 2017 meeting at 7 p.m.? Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you very much. Okay. And that's it tonight for the resolutions. Mark, we have no budget transfers? Okay. Tonight, we're going to take public comments on general town issues. Now, when we do this, I would just like to make the statement, this is comments on town issues. So if you're going to come to the podium, we expect you to be making a comment. It's not going to be a Q&A period. A while back, we had gotten a petition from Hillside Lake to dissolve the special park district. A vote was held. The residents voted in favor of dissolution of the park district. As per the law, we have 6 months to put together a plan, and as part of the plan, we're trying to develop a plan. There seems to be quite a bit of interest on the part of the Hillside Lake people for the town to take over the assets of the park district. In the petition, it clearly stated that the lake was of no recreational value. So, but to take it over on behalf of the town, for the town general taxpayer, it seems like it would have to have some kind of recreational value. So we've been working on a plan. It will be on the ballot. The November voting meeting, not our voting meeting, at the election, will be on the ballot. whether the town, the taxpayer would like to take over the assets of the Hillside Lake Park District. That's not really how it's worded, but it will be worded as per bond counsel has told us it has to be worded. But we've been working on little projects, little sketches, trying to come up with a plan for it, and we did come up with this, actually. I'll put this out front here. We didn't get a bigger one. We just finished it today, actually. Put it there. There's a lot of things in place there for their value. Because if we're going to be spending money to rehabilitate Hillside Lake and make it for the town taxpayers to use, it's going to have to be a recreation area. We're looking to put some value back into it. And Scott, maybe you'll talk about it a little bit, but we know we have to remove a certain amount of material. We'd be draining the lake. We'd be removing a certain amount of material. Somewhere around, I believe that the plan always called for about $90,000. But there's a couple things, because when we do this, we're going to adopt a septic pump out and inspection law. That's just going to have to be done, because you cannot put money into the lake and then still have the septic problem. We actually based this project, this plan, on Emmeline Pond, because Emmeline Pond had been brought up in the past as an example. So we based this on Emmeline Pond. We put a little dock here, a little field area, we did fill in the swimming area, but we're going to make it for a lake that can be used possibly for fishing, boating. It'll look nice. There'll be a little pavilion down there and a little field. And this is all conceptual. Nothing is cast in stone, but we had to start with something. So this is going to be our proposal. And around the lake, what's going to happen is, because a lot of the cost in the project has always been removing material from the site. So that being said, we're going to try to keep material on the site. We also have to build, I guess you'd say, a berm against the shoreline. When we did Emmeline Pond, we drained Emmeline Pond, and it was discovered that there were septic leaking into Emmeline Pond in the past. So that was built up with clay and with material, and we would do the same thing here. Although, as I said, we will be adopting a septic inspection and pump out law, because we don't want to do this, spend the taxpayers' money. We set a $3 million budget and then have it be in the same situation it is now. The project that we have below also uses the filter project that we're going to do this year, which now we plan to do, if we get approval for this, we would be incorporating that into this plan. And so we'll see how it goes. So I just wanted to bring that up. We just actually finished it today. So I'll be putting it out here. I gave it to each of our town board members, and it's just conceptual, but you'll see that there's a certain amount of material that's pushed against the bank, and there's a walking path around it, because for the town taxpayer, if it's going to be recreation, you have to provide something. So we thought that would be a good use of the berm. So this is what we're proposing, and I just want to put it out there tonight. And if anybody wants to make any comments, please feel free. So with that being said, I'd like to open up taking general public comments on general town issues. Is there anybody in the audience who would like to speak on general town issues? And please make it a comment.
Yeah, I was gonna just have one thing to say, but when you made that remark, I have two things to say. First, I wanted to ask you about Kathy Martin, who I think does a great job. She also has to do with Beacon, doesn't she?
But just let me, again, this is for public comments.
Yeah,
This is
John,
not question and
come
answer.
on, John.
I will say that
We've been
Kathy,
conducting the meeting
I
for
know,
years
I
like this.
understand
And, how are we going to get an answer? How would it be? I got a legitimate
When have I ever
question.
not given you an answer,
Okay.
Bob, whenever you stop by?
Okay, John, I got a legitimate question for the people. I know that I believe
Kathy
she
Martin is our
participates.
assessor that we share with the city of Beacon.
Yes, so are they going to be contributing to, because I
They
kind of
pay,
missed
they pay
it.
a percentage of
That's-
everything.
Okay, so that's not so hard to answer. The other thing is, you mentioned about filling in the swimming area. And again, you know, I don't know in tons or yardage how much that swimming area would hold. To take it out of the lake part and put it in the swimming area. There's a swimming area that's never been technically closed down by anybody, not the Board of Health or anybody. Why would anybody take that swimming area away when it's 90% done and valuable? Why would you even consider taking that away? So that's my comment, John.
Okay, thank you. And comment noted.
Good evening. I'm back with the folder. Hi, John.
Hi, how are you?
I'm going to have to take a minute to change this to comment rather than question, if I may. And I certainly would like to comment, good evening, Bill, on, excuse me, the work that Highway Department has been doing in trying to fix up what we call the road in Worley Homes. It is looking better. There's been some improvements. I'm just hopeful that Bill would be able to get a chance to get back and finish what he's started. I hope that can happen. And again, it's improved. It's looking much better. And we certainly appreciate your effort. Thank you. Thanks, Bill. All right. Bear with me a second, so I have to get this into a comment format, if I may. Okay. What I'm looking to say here is, as we're moving forward with the acquisition of Hopewell Services, Inc., and by the town, I'm hopeful, as we all are in Worley Homes, that it is moving forward and that the progress, and from the last meeting, I understand we're looking at something 14 months into the future. Is that, I think that's correct.
That sounds like a question to me, but
I tried to rephrase that. It says, I think
and you can
that's
always
correct.
stop by. I mean, we've had meetings on this before, so you don't feel like you have to come to a town board meeting. But, you know there are certain things that we have to do in the process, and we're,
Okay.
as I said in the beginning of the meeting, we are waiting on the purchase.
All right, well,
contract.
what I may do then, John, given that we've kind of changed the format somewhat, is, give a call and call the office. But since
Anytime.
I'm here missing a football game, since my team is horrible, so,
Mine too.
what's your team?
The Jets.
Oh, yeah, I know I know the pain. Don't laugh, it is a football team. Come on, people. The other thing is that I'd like to discuss in the comment is, there's a concern, and hopefully it won't impact the ability of the town to apply for the WIA grant in calendar 2018. That certainly is a concern, and again, can discuss that further. The resolution that was put forth at the last town meeting, then I would assume the minutes were approved, the resolution would be approved. It sounds like that also has happened. So given that my comments are kind of covered here, what I will do is call to set up a meeting to do the question and
Please
answer.
feel free. We've always
Yeah,
we've had
we've
open
discussed that.
communications.
In general, there's only been two things since I've been coming to these meetings with respect to Worley Homes. That we get the water system working properly, and that we get our roads fixed and paved. And that hasn't changed. And working with the town, since this is an area of, keeping up, it's a, how long has it been? Okay, never mind, I don't want to go down that road. I don't want to tie you up with that, but at any rate, those are the two things that we'd like to have happen at Worley Homes, so that folks can have decent water service and paved roads.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
We understand. Thank you. Comment noted.
Again, good evening. I'd like to elaborate a little bit on the comment that was made regarding no recreation in Hillside Lake. And I would like to elaborate that the one purpose that it currently does serve is a discharge for 7 stormwater drainage system, for East Fishkill Highway Department, town stormwater. That's what it does currently do. In regards to the handout that I just requested to be passed along at the workshop meeting, Mr. Hickman, that you were not at, so I'm uncertain if you're familiar with the handout that happened at that meeting. But there were 3 items, and I'll read item number 3 because that is what this handout pertains to. And it goes as, the town has brought up the subject of riparian rights as it pertained to town stormwater entering Hillside Lake. The proposed site for the renewage filtration system primarily fits onto the property recently purchased or / acquired to facilitate that filtration system. The current controversy of property ownership should not be an impediment to moving forward with the installation of the renewage filtration system. The existing drainage today already dissects the area in question that is designed to facilitate the renewage system. And if you would look at page 2, and page 1, 2, and 3 are in fact part of the renewage design, and it is stamped with a date of March 29, 2017. And on page 2, you can see where the existing stormwater drainage dissects the area in question. And on page 3 is the proposed. So you already claim riparian rights, and I'm flabbergasted as to why you will not continue or pick up immediately and utilize the $647,000 grant to commence the filtration system. You had said in the presentation with the poster that's out there that you would incorporate it. However, if that $3 million bond fails, we're still at square one. And as I had previously said, the word of it being available for with a 2-year extension is only that. It's only worth the paper that it's written on. Excuse me. On page 4 of the handout is the area where the proposed filtration system should be located. And you will see in December of 2011, top left-hand picture, beyond the water there, that is all sediment that has come from the storm drain and the piping that's depicted on page 1. I'm sorry, page 2 of the existing. All of that sediment comes from that pipe. After I hound dogged Dennis Miller for probably about 8 months, he very nicely accomplished the picture immediately to the right. And only 2.5 years later, on the bottom picture, you will see how quickly it degraded with more sediment. That filtration system is direly needed, and I implore you to commence under your riparian rights. Over.
Thank you. Comment noted.
Could I anticipate a response when it comes to comments from town board members?
No, if you'd like to give me a call or stop in, why don't we talk about it? We could have an actual discussion about it. And any town board member you'd like to have present.
I realize that.
Give me a buzz, we'll stop and talk. We've always been able
Okay,
to
but,
talk about it. If
The
you're around.
riparian rights issue I've been bringing up for 2 months now. So I cannot expect anybody to comment when it comes to comments by town board members. Is that forbidden?
I can't speak for the town board.
So any councilman may comment if they like?
I can't speak for the town board. They comment when it comes their time.
So, but in other words, you do not
I can't
restrict them
speak-
from
I
commenting?
can't speak for the town board.
You're not going to restrict them from commenting?
They're the town board, I don't restrict.
That's all I want to know. Thank you.
Gotta come up.
Mark Baldwin. I want to say again, all the money we're putting into this lake, and no one can use it except Hillside Lake. It burns me to no end. And you want to put another $86,000 in it? Not over my dead body.
Comment noted.
Good evening. First, to clarify on that last comment, what you're proposing, and had you been able to comment, you might have corrected the previous speaker that they've got it incorrect. What you're proposing is a recreation plan for the entire town to use. So it's not putting money into the lake for only Hillside Lake residents to use. Let's make that perfectly clear. You can just nod your head. You can nod your head, maybe that would be it. Okay. So, being you change things up and you don't want to answer anything, and you just said you can't speak for the rest of the town board, then certainly they're each free to comment or answer any of my questions.
This is not a question and answer period. This is a period for comments. Make your
Therefore,
comments.
you are telling the other four
I am the
council.
town supervisor. On the agenda, it says general comments.
You're answering my question before I asked it,
Telling
besides
you
the fact that you're
what
answering
this
a
section
question.
is for, so please make your comments, sir.
Okay, so my comment is, it appears to me that you are restricting the free speech of the other council members. Thank you for that one. Now, as I make my comments up here, and should I throw in a question, I would appreciate if any of the five of you up there would feel free to answer. I would gladly entertain an answer and a question and answer session with any of you at this moment. So I just want to make that clear. But I will try to keep it all comments. My original question for coming up here was I wanted clarity on Hillside Lake Dissolution Plan A and Plan B. I was not here at the July meeting, so I was not able to ask my questions then when that was announced. And it was a little unclear to me, and then I painfully watched the last workshop meeting, and in my opinion, it was very clear to me that some of the council members were not even understanding the process and the law, the legalities behind it. So I came here for you to clarify what Plan A and Plan B are. I was hoping you were going to do that when you put that up there during public comments, which by no means should you think you're fooling anyone by putting it up there at public comments and nobody can question it. That should have been in one of the agendas or perhaps even your supervisor's comments on that. But I'm glad to see that something is being shown up there. I will give you that. So, all I can go by is Plan A and Plan B as I see it. And if I understand correctly, Plan A is to come after is it November 8th election, when it will be on there, for the town to vote, in their opinion, if they would like to spend money to repair Hillside Lake after it's dissolved. That is not a vote for dissolution, nor can it legally be. The vote for dissolution must come as a plan, number one, and is only for the electors within the Hillside Lake Park District. Therefore, it's only the registered voters that reside in the Hillside Lake Park District. I want to make that very clear. So Plan A is asking the entire town if they feel okay about spending a fictitious number, in my opinion, of $3 million to fix the lake. And should the majority vote in favor of that, you will move forward with a dissolution of the lake and possibly getting a grant or a bond for $3 million to do immediate reparations. And I say immediate because it sounds like you, by saying Plan A includes that $3 million, and then you will take the lake, and being there's no question and answer, I won't bring up the fact that I don't want to go back and forth with you that you already own the lake, so I'll just go with, I'll choose the side that you don't own the lake, just to make it easier to make my comments. So, Plan A states in brief that you do not want to take over the lake unless you can do immediate repairs on it for the town. However, the dissolution petition was only petitioning to dissolve the lake. It was not petitioning to repair the lake. Legally, you're only required, legally, you're only bound to dissolve the lake. That's what we were asked to do by Article 17A. You have chosen to extend it to beyond that, that it is in need of immediate repair if you were to take it on. Therefore, that's saying, in another way, you do not want to take ownership of the lake and then take the time to put together a proper plan over the next few years, perhaps spread it out, and slowly maybe fill in the swimming area, and then the next thing do this, and the next, little by little. You want to only take it over if you can immediately throw $3 million into it. Plan B, as I understood it, and again, I wish you got somebody up there was responding if I'm wrong to this, if I'm wrong on any of this. Plan B is that you're going to hand it back to a homeowners association that does not exist. So one of my questions would have been, who are you going to contact if Plan A falls through? Who are you going to contact to let them know you own the lake now? But there's no answer for that. I'm really curious as to, and those Plan A and Plan B follow Tom Wood's suggestion in his July 18th memo to the board, stating that there are really only two routes that can be taken for this. And I have to disagree completely, and I'm not sure what road Mr. Wood is leading you down, but it's very obvious that the third and most basic plan for this is to just say, okay, we're going to take the lake and dissolve it, and we'll worry about fixing it in the future when we make a plan to get money. But what you're proposing is much more complicated than that. So for Tom Wood to suggest there are really only two plans to do this, you might want to look into where you're being led. So the obvious was not stated on there. And then the question comes up, if we were to discuss about who owns the lake, a very good question about that is, right now at this moment, theoretically, who could sell the lake? Could the town sell it? Or could the property owners within Hillside Lake sell it? How would that work? That would answer that question very clearly. Since you own it, you state, on behalf of the property owners. Again, we can't get clarity for the masses. We can only come to you and hear one-on-one. Also for clarity here, I dug out the documentation here. There's questions, why are we petitioning now, and of such nature. In late 2014, you requested that Tom Franco put together focus groups to discuss Hillside Lake, what the community wants of it, what the board wants of it, what they foresee, what in the future, what are we asking for? Because we've been up here at that point 5 years already, talking back and forth with you. And I believe there were 3 separate meetings. One was with Manny and Tom Franco. The other was with Manny and, I'm not sure, but each of the board members, excluding yourself, Mr. Hickman, sat in on a focus group. And I sat in on all of them as well. And out of that focus group, we thought it was very clear. Everybody kind of left that group with, yeah, that seems like a good idea. And then we tried to sit down with you as a whole to discuss what we had discussed in the focus groups to see where we could go with this. You were not accepting of that, so we ended up having to petition you on March 19th of 2015 to sit down with us and discuss the possibility of dissolving the lake and then bringing recreation to northern East Fishkill, which we did right in this room. The Hillside Lake Board was there. There were some residents of Hillside Lake there. I believe the entire town board was there. Mr. Wood was there. Scott Bryan was there. And we actually left that meeting kind of feeling like we were on the same page. I know somebody there was stating we should go before the planning board to propose to them bringing recreation there, and it was made very clear. It was made very clear to every focus group, it was made very clear at that meeting that nothing can be done on a lake unless it's dissolved, because it's a private park district. That was made very, very clear, and it was understood there. You yourself, Mr. Hickman, had mentioned that our proposed plan for bringing recreation to northern East Fishkill via us giving you Hillside Lake, and it listed on here, possibilities of what it could be, and it ended with, the sky is the limit. It's up to you, basically, but first, it has to be dissolved in order to do any of that. I stood up here and did a 45-minute presentation after that, explaining all of this, just so the general public could hear about it. You actually shook my hand after that meeting, which was a surprise to me. And you said, that's a very good plan. We'd like to move forward with it. That was March of 2015. So again, why do I bring all of this up? I'd like to put a time frame. I like to put facts behind everything I say. And on that note, to keep things on the record, I'd like to submit this. This is the petition back from March 19th, 2015. I'd like to submit this for the record. So we go from March 19th, 2015 to today. And here we are, and it seems like there's no recollection of this all of a sudden. And all of a sudden, this petition came out of the blue. But there's documentation right there where we talked about the dissolution there. The only way to dissolve the park district is via a petition. In addition to, well, while this whole dissolution is going on, there are no answers being given. A lot of people are questioning what's happening, what are the plans. People obviously have wrong information and think they're going to pay for something that they can't use. Other people say, I don't want to pay for something that I have no intention of using. And that's fine, because there are plenty of areas of East Fishkill that my taxes go towards that I do not use. And I'm sure with everyone, there are areas that aren't used. Nobody uses it, but there is not recreation in northern East Fishkill. And that was the whole basis of our suggestion to you, that once it's dissolved, you have the largest accessible lake in East Fishkill available to you for recreation and public use. And yes, there are larger lakes. They are not publicly accessible. So on that note of people asking questions of me and others, and me not having the answers because I just can't seem to get them. Again, I've done this in the past. I would like to publicly and cordially invite each and every one of you up there to our October 10th community meeting at 7 p.m. at the Hillside Lake Firehouse. Now, I know Manny will be there. He's at every one of them. So Tom Franco, I'm cordially inviting you to our October 10th, 7 p.m. meeting at the Hillside Lake Firehouse. Supervisor Hickman, I am cordially inviting you to our October 10th, 2017 Hillside Lake Community Meeting to be held at the Hillside Lake Firehouse at 7 p.m. sharp. And likewise for Nick and Peter. You can kindly respond to hillsidelakeboard@gmail.com. I understand you're not a fan of my hospitality, and that's fine. I'm not inviting you to my house. We discussed this. I'm inviting you to a community meeting that is not run by anyone. It's there for all the voices to talk. This is not a Hillside Lake Board meeting. This is a community meeting. There's no dais where people sit and speak to everyone. At times, we will face them because the questions seem to come towards the Hillside Lake Board. It's just easier. If any of you decide to come, I'll move the tables into a circle format even to make it as casual as possible. We're all there just to have discussion. On that note, I will follow that up with an email from the Hillside Lake Board inviting you all as well. And I do hope you will not only send a return email response, but I do hope to see you all there on October 10th at 7 p.m. Thank you.
Comments noted. Anybody else in the audience like to comment on general town issues?
Good evening. I'm Mary Ellen Smolinski. With the Hillside Lake Board, I live in Hillside Lake, and I'll be at that meeting on October the 10th. And I would really appreciate the town board coming and speaking with the members of the community and explaining, so you don't like to talk on camera, you can talk directly to the people and get their response, their honest response, their honest questions. Not everybody thinks like me, not everybody thinks like everybody else on the board. They have a lot of questions that they need answered. And since you proposed this proposal tonight, it would be probably a good idea to come in and explain it a little bit more to them. But I would really hope that maybe during the comments afterwards, that you could at least tell us whether or not you're going to consider to come. Thanks.
Anybody in the audience who'd like to comment on general town issues? Okay, there being none, comments from town board members? Oh, I'm sorry.
I just have a couple comments for the town board regarding Community Day. Mr. Marinero had mentioned in the last meeting that was going to honor farmers, and I want to say we appreciate the town board considering us that way. We were already planning to be in the parade since it was our 125th anniversary this year that the Jacksons have been farming in East Fishkill. So we do appreciate the fact that we were mentioned on the television show ahead of time before we went through the parade, and that we were given an extra large spot to have some animals and a spot to show off some of our equipment. So we very much appreciate that. Also, I noticed at the Community Day Parade that there was the Matt Herring Foundation in that parade and also up at Community Day. I want to applaud the Herring family for stepping up and facing this challenge and making the best out of a really horrible situation for their family. And it's led me to some thoughts that I would just like to share with you guys that I think I want to also applaud our town police. I think they do an awesome job, and they try to get a handle on the drug problem that we have in East Fishkill. I think it's a rampant problem going on around the county, and they work very well with the drug task force. I'm sure everybody saw it in the news just recently. They had a bust here in East Fishkill. And I would also like to applaud our EMS service with the Narcan, the police, and the EMS work really well to try to help this problem that's going on in our town. What I would like to challenge the board with is I think it would be really good if we could, as a town, try to do something just a little bit more, actually be a little proactive and look at it from a awareness perspective to try to solve the problem a little bit more before it actually gets to the point where we're rescuing lives. So I was thinking it might be a good idea if the spotlight on East Fishkill could maybe get some of these foundations like the Herring Foundation, I know there's others around, maybe work with the town police and the EMS and the drug task force and try to do just a little bit more to try to solve this epidemic that's going around our town. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Comments noted. Okay. Anybody else like to comment on general town issues? Okay, there being none, now it's time comments from town board members. Anybody on the board like to make any comments? And one thing I do want to thank is our Community Day committee. They did a great job for Community Day. I was unable to make it this year. I was away, but I heard Community Day was a very good, very big success. It was a little bit hot, but luckily we had a little bit of rain, so
Yeah,
thank you. Thank you to the committee and to everybody who worked on it.
I kind of want to make a couple of comments about that. I want to basically thank all the people that they worked together to make that Community Day the success that it was. There are some people that I would like to mention. Of course, the committee that they worked behind the scene to make this event a successful one. Thanking Mr. Bill Green, Christine Selbach, Mike Kaiser, Gina Grippo, Ann Goldsmith, Tina Smalley, and Dave Kohler. Also, there were 4 high school students, Emily Bauer, Laura Grozowski, Christian, and Jenny. I want to thank the Highway Department for their support. I mean, we had some of the workers that really did a great job helping through the parade and on the grounds. Butch Kidney and his maintenance crew, thank you very much. They were there all day and even before that. And also the volunteers of the fire department, they were there and they did a great job. Many applause from the whole community. And of course, our police department also were on the grounds and they did a great job that day with all the gifts. We much appreciate all the work that you guys did. I spoke to some vendors. We had a lot of vendors that day. I believe there was over 100 vendors. Everybody made a lot of money. They sold out on all the products that they were selling. So it was a good thing. And I would love to see more farmers come and participate in our parades, sell their farm products. I mean, we are a community, and our farmers are a great part of our community. So thank you, everybody who came out. And I just want to share one thing that really got me while I was watching the parade go by. I was standing next to a police officer, and I couldn't believe the amount of children that they left their parents to go and give a candy to that police officer and shake their hands. I mean, that was something that really impressed me. Thank you. Thank you for your great cooperation.
That's for our police department and our chief, who is sitting here in the audience. He's got a gun. Excuse me, Marty, this is for comments. You want to make a comment, it's over. You can't speak.
I'm not making a comment,
Oh, you're not making comments?
make it a fact.
You can't, Marty, we're over. I'm sorry, you missed the boat.
Okay.
But we can have it, we'll save it for next month. Write it down.
I just want to tell you that the seniors won number one.
Again?
Again.
Oh, that's what I was going to ask.
My goodness.
It was a nice photo you guys put together. Very good, Marty.
Another trophy on our line of...
I tell you, those seniors in their floats, you can't beat them. Any other councilman like to make any comments from the town board?
Also on Community Day, special thanks to the fire police that come out and do the traffic for us. Big help. Thanks again to everybody that participated, all the volunteers. Great turnout. A little hot. Thank goodness it rained for a little while. Some people got scared, but all it did really was cool the place off. And we had a great turnout, pretty much stay all day. So starting later actually helped. And the seniors cheated again to win the float. I think it's fixed. I think they fixed the ballots or something. They win every year.
They do win every year.
I'd like to thank everybody, too, for coming out to Community Day. I think this was one of our largest ever, and we're truly blessed in East Fishkill for all the volunteers. Thank you, thank you. And also, the Sons of Italy were here before to give us a donation to the town. I'd like to thank them again. They did give us a donation for our first all-inclusive day at the beach at Red Wing, and they also give every year to the town camp for families that are needy. So I forgot to mention that when they were here earlier, but thank you again.
There's one person I forgot to mention. I apologize. And she did a great job. I mean, she was all over, and there is many thanks to be given to Jenna McHugh for a great job. I think that we wouldn't have been able to pull it through without her help, so thank you, Jenna.
Jan always does a great job.
Yep.
Is that it? Okay. With that, next town board meeting is October 12th, it's a workshop, and October 16th is the next voting meeting. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second?
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you very much.